It's perfectly okay for your friend to say goodnight and go offline at 1 a.m. in the morning, but it is not okay when the pilot of a late-night plane does the same. In the early morning of March 8, 2014, Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur for Beijing at 12:42 a.m. On board were 239 people, which include 227 passengers, 10 flight attendants and 2 pilots. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, an experienced captain, and First Officer Farik Hamid, an assistant pilot who was also a trainee. The flight route was planned over the Gulf of Thailand, Vietnam, and the South China Sea. For about 20 minutes, the plane flew smoothly in the planned air route, crossing the Malaysian coastline towards the South China Sea and heading towards Vietnam. Captain Zahari reported the plane cruising at 35,000 feet and everything normal. As the aircraft entered Vietnamese airspace, Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control instructed them to contact Ho Chi Minh ATC on 120.9. And Captain Zahari acknowledged with a routine, "Good night, Malaysia Airline 370. Little did anyone know, this would be the last communication coming from the plane. Shortly after, at 1:21 a.m., just 30 seconds after entering the Vietnamese airspace, MH370 vanished from radar screens. Initially, Malaysian ATC assumed the plane had transitioned to Vietnamese radar, while Vietnamese controllers noticed MH370 entered their airspace but then suddenly disappear. They tried to establish contact for 18 minutes. But when they failed, they alerted Kuala Lumpur that the aircraft had gone missing, beginning the chapter of one of the biggest aviation mysteries ever. According to standard procedures, Kuala Lumpur's Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Centre should have been notified promptly within an hour. However, it wasn't until 6:32 a.m., 4 hours after MH370's expected arrival in Beijing, that emergency response efforts started. Following the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370, an immediate search operation was launched along its intended route from Malaysia to Beijing, which passed over Vietnam and the South China Sea. The international effort involved 34 ships and 28 aircraft from 7 countries in search of the plane in the South China Sea. Despite these extensive efforts, the plane had no trace. But 4 days later, on March 12th, military radar revealed such a crucial detail that no one could ever imagine. According to their radar, MH370's last known position was at 2:22 a.m. near the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, far westward of Malaysia, over the Strait of Malacca. Strangely, the plane was flying northward, away from its intended path to Beijing, taking an impossible route. Where was it headed? India or elsewhere? Days after this revelation, new satellite data provided further clues. The MH370 attempted to establish routine communication with the satellite. However, it only initiated the login process but did not transmit its location data. However, several investigators made a new plan for investigation. They used the satellite's signal and antenna angles to estimate the plane's location, and that resulted in the creation of 7 white big circles on a map, known as satellite handshakes. Each circle on the map represents a time when the plane attempted to communicate with the satellite. The 7th and final circle, the latest point of contact, indicated the plane's potential location. This circle was unexpectedly vast, spanning from Kazakhstan and China to Indonesia and Australia, spanning across a large expanse of ocean. Based on satellite data and calculations of the plane's speed and remaining fuel, investigators focused their search on the 7th arc. This arc, 2,000 kilometres west of Australia, covered a vast and mostly unexplored ocean area. The 7th arc became the main area of interest as the suspected crash site of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. Again, multiple search operations were launched. From March 18th to April 28th, 2014, military aircraft searched an area of over 4.6 million square kilometres, an area larger than India, but found no trace of the missing aircraft. As a result, surface search operations were suspended in April 2014. It was presumed that, after so long, the plane could not be floating on the sea surface at least. So, they focused only on deep ocean searches, marking the largest and costliest search effort in aviation history, estimated between $135 to $160 million to date. However, to everyone's surprise, despite extensive searches over weeks, months and years, no significant discoveries were made. The search operation was finally terminated in early 2017 because they didn't know where else to look for. Meanwhile, in July 2015, something happened that sparked the search efforts again, but also made the incident more mysterious. A small piece of debris from Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 was discovered, but not anywhere you'd guess. It was found on Reunion Island, east of Madagascar, and it was just a tiny flaperon. But this discovery provided a glimmer of hope amidst the ongoing mystery. So, efforts to find the crash location increased. In 2018, Ocean Infinity, an American company, teamed up with the Malaysian government under a no-find, no-fee agreement to locate MH370. They had access to advanced underwater technology, so they started by mapping the ocean floor along the 7th arc. The funny part is, they uncovered a lot of underwater features like volcanoes, cliffs and mountains, except for the lost flight MH370. Even after expanding their search area to 33,000 square kilometers and months of detailed searching, they could not find the plane. Naturally, when something remains unsolved for a long time, conspiracy theories come into play. For example, one major theory suggested planned actions, like intentionally disabling communication systems and deviating the plane from its flight path. Captain Zahari Shah was scrutinized for possibly doing this, with speculations about his mental health, suicidal tendencies, or involvement in a hijacking. A shocking detail came out about Captain Shah's flight simulator at home, which is common among aviation enthusiasts. Notably, his simulations included a path similar to MH370's actual flight path, raising more questions about his intentions and knowledge. However, the official investigators firmly rejected this theory because the captain's extensive experience, impeccable reputation, and lack of personal or financial issues didn't support this motive. Instead, officials suggested the possibility of hijackers or terrorists being responsible for the incident. Speaking of hijackers, another theory arose involving two Iranian passengers traveling with stolen passports, which initially raised concerns about terrorism. However, investigations by Interpol indicated their intent was likely immigration-related rather than terrorism. One of the passengers' mothers even waited for him in Germany, which assures there's no foul play involved. A third theory says that lack of oxygen might have knocked out everyone on MH370, including the pilots. If this happened, the plane would have flown on autopilot until it ran out of fuel and crashed into the Indian Ocean. The oxygen loss could have been due to an electrical fire or actions by hijackers. When the plane entered Vietnamese airspace, it might have tried to turn back to Malaysia, but something mid-flight could have made everyone unconscious. Military radar later tracked the plane as it flew south over the Indian Ocean before crashing about 2,000 kilometers west of Australia. Some people still have wild theories, like alien abduction or secret military actions, but these are not likely and have no proof. Fast forward to 2024, Richard Godfrey, a retired aerospace engineer, claims he's found where MH370 might be. He used data from satellites, Boeing, Australian scientists, and radio tech to predict its location. As per his calculations, it must be at the 7th arc, about 4 kilometers under the sea. Despite earlier searches, he wanted a new one within 40 nautical miles. In fact, not only he, but also another former researcher, Vincent Line, thinks he's found where MH370 could be. Godfrey says it's around 1,500 kilometers west of Perth, Australia, based on radio signals. And Line believes it's near Penang, based on pilot data. The intriguing part is, both suggest the pilot might have been involved. The search operation is still on the go, with Godfrey urging a new look beyond the official theory. But the answer to the disappearance of MH370 is still under the ocean. Or should I say, we're not sure where else to look. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any new theories to share? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting updates, like why certain places such as Tibet are considered dead zones where planes rarely fly. If you want to know, click on this video.